Sounds good. Okay.
Okay.
I'll introduce myself. I'm Shelby Darby.
I'm Marie Hedrick.
Now people can see our. Okay. Let me pull up my. So the readings were pretty interesting.
Yeah, I honestly had no idea what to expect. I didn't know if it was going to be like teaching about the content more, like, or if it was like literally like this is how you're supposed to teach market, and I just didn't.
It's refreshing to get something new. I feel like a lot of our classes kind of overlap with information and concept, and so it's nice to see something that's like primarily focused on family life education as like a career. So.
Yes, I totally agree. I got a lot of new information from this already.
Do I start with chapter 1?
Yeah.
Okay. I can go first if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
So I pose the question, what differentiates family life education from other forms of education?
Mm-hmm.
And from the readings, what I found was that it's outreach based, and it's backed by it's backed by research. It's backed by like a scholarly perspective, not just an experience-based perspective, which I think is valuable too. But it's good to have both, so that you can help people in a more well-rounded and substantiated way. And so for my course application, I just talked about how I want to make sure that when I'm marketing my course, people understand that it's not just me as like a mom of an 18-month-old talking about things that work for me. I'm talking about things that are important for child development and can have serious consequences if I don't get that across. Does that make sense?
Yeah. For course application, is that like something specific we were supposed to put into our outline?
So in the weekly announcements, she just talked about she like posted somebody's email, and it was talking about how we need to relate it to our workshop or our course that we're teaching.
Okay. I think I did that to an extent. I didn't see that announcement.
No, it's totally fine because we can wing it.
Sure.
I didn't do it for all my chapters, just every once in a while. So
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. So like you said, like I thought it was interesting just like pretty much every single career within like family life education, like even social work and everything, it all like encompasses some kind of like outreach that you have to do for your community. So I don't know. I just found that interesting. And then also for like defining the outreach, I thought that it was interesting how it brought up like respecting all of the diverse values, because I think that it like emphasized a lot just taking into account the audience's needs. And I'm totally just going down through my outline. I don't know if that's what you did.
no, that's fine. Yeah.
And then for the history, when it said that family life education kind of began through like informal discussions, it just kind of, I realized like that really is like how a lot of my information that I've learned in this major so far gets like brought up. And so I don't know, I feel like that is like a huge part of family life education still today. And then when it was going through like the different approaches and roles, I especially liked like the expert, the facilitator, and the critical inquirer approach. The expert just seemed more like what we do, like a lot of discipline and studying, like to be an effective teacher. That's like what BYUI is trying to teach us to do. And then also, I liked that it kind of assumes that your audience doesn't have that much knowledge, because I feel like that's kind of how I'm going to go about it in my workshop, is just like I'm going to assume that they don't know like any of like the theories that I've learned and like that kind of stuff, because I'm doing it on marriage. And then I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I really liked how you talked about that informal discussion being a huge part of FLE. Like, I remember when I was pregnant, the majority of my pregnancy, I was just on like blogs and talking with friends who were pregnant. And when I miscarried, um, I remember like that was my like way of going and talking to people. It was just very like informal, but that's the way I got information that got me through it and got me to my next pregnancy. And so I think that's the way most people go about learning about family is just by talking to each other or getting online. Um, and it is informal. But like you said, with the whole expert perspective, I think that when I was reading in chapter, I think it was 19, that like people don't really value experts. And
Yeah.
it totally sucks because one, I want to make money from learning, spending 4 years learning about all this. But two, a lot of the information that people use to like strengthen their family isn't good for them. In fact, it can be counterproductive. Just because like BuzzFeed says something or like you see a post on Facebook doesn't mean that it's like good for your family or worth implementing. And those consequences can be pretty bad. And so, I don't know. All the reading from what we've done so far has made me realize how sad it is that like the world doesn't value family life education, and they look at people who get like marriage and family studies degrees like you and me as people who are like glorified home ec teachers when really like we have such a good understanding of things, and it's so well rounded and can be applied to so many different like socioeconomic statuses and demographics. And I don't know, it made me sad, but then I found hope.
Yeah, a lot of what you said I like is kind of like what I wrote about chapter 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should jump there.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what were some of your thoughts about chapter 19?
I just like find it so interesting that like people are so quick to like see this little like quote on Facebook, like from a source like BuzzFeed, like you said, but like they're not so quick to like find out like the right resources and the right, you know what I mean, the experts. And it's so sad because there's so like obviously there's so much corruptness on social media, and like I don't know about you, but I always get like messages from friends like forwarding things or like tagging me in things and that kind of stuff, and I'm just like I like almost always disagree with it just based on like what I know. I'm like, oh my goodness, like
yeah, oh for sure. I think that like I don't know, this probably sounds really corny, but I think it's totally Satan. Because he's so good at disguising stuff that makes it seem like it would make sense, but really it's not good for you.
right.
And
Yeah.
I don't know, like if I were Satan, what I would want to do is destroy families. And so it makes sense that our field is so undervalued by the world. Is really tragic and sad, but
yeah,
I didn't really think about that till now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it doesn't sound corny to me because I say corny stuff like that all the time. I have to like bite my tongue a lot because I'm just like, I can't get like all religious on people.
That's a nice part about going to a religious school.
Yeah. But like an example that I was trying to think of was it was actually BuzzFeed that released a video about a divorced couple like reunites and looks at their wedding photos, and it just talks about why they got a divorce, and it was like they got a divorce for all the wrong reasons, but they were glorifying those reasons and making it like, yeah, this is why you should like if you just feel unhappy, you should be able to just leave one day. Or like on Twitter, just a couple of weeks ago, I saw a celebrity marriage, obviously those never last, but like there was a big breakup and the guy said, I don't want to be like tied down anymore. Like I just want to be able to be free and be my own person and date other women. And there was so much support for him in saying like, wow,
Who
so
was it?
what?
Do you remember who it was?
I don't know.
I feel like Chris Pratt said the same thing. And I was like, no, because he and his wife had like such a cute relationship.
Yeah. They weren't
These are
quite
like
as
the
cute as
forerunners for marriage. This is who everybody in our culture looks to and is like, yeah, I should get married because they did. Oh, I should get divorced because he wants to
yeah.
join the club. I don't know. It's just dumb.
I was expecting to scroll down and be like, wow, I can't believe a guy would break a girl's heart like this or something like that. Like, where's the commitment? But it was all like, yes, finally, men are being honest rather than just cheating. And I'm like,
So sad.
yeah, totally.
So sad.
But anyways, that was like mostly what I wrote, that kind of stuff for chapter 19.
Yeah. One of the things that I thought was kind of cool, but also kind of dumb, was for the partnering up. It makes sense that you should work with other fields, like family therapists, to find clientele to work with and teach within like your realm of understanding. But at the same time, it's kind of sad that like you have to go to someone who has like a master's degree or a doctorate to find people who are interested in working with you. And I don't know, I've always been really interested in like the education aspect of family life education rather than the treatment. I don't know. I want to deal with before people make mistakes rather than after. It's just a preferential thing. But when I was thinking about that, it kind of partnering up for teaching people to prevent mistakes is really hard to do because there's not a lot of money in that. And so when in chapter 2, was it chapter 2 that talked about the American land grant university system?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I thought that was really cool how universities are basically incentivized to like spread research, do research, and then spread research to their community to strengthen families and homes, and how like partnering up with a university is a great idea. So for my workshop, that's something that I'm looking at doing. And it's kind of like a twofold purpose. The head of the family department at the University of Kentucky, he is a member of the church. So I can reach out to him, and I'm hoping to have him come and talk at my workshop. But also so that he can meet me and see me as like a potential undergraduate student or as a potential grad student to get my master's. So I'm hoping that it would be good to like bring him in and use his status and his knowledge base to help people in my workshop, but also so that I could maybe have an in to get into grad school because it's pretty competitive. So
oh yeah, no, I think that's so smart.
Honestly. Those are my ideas for that.
Yeah, no, I like what you said about prevention instead of like repairing, because that really is what family life education is. I feel like chapter 2 like touched on that a lot, because I feel like in the informal discussions, it's mainly therapeutic, you know, when you're with your friends and they're like, oh, I'm going through this and this and this, and that's more like therapeutic. But like if we could like actually like have more discussions like for prevention, I think the biggest issue is people don't realize that they are at risk. Is like that example in the textbook that it gave, like that's like totally seen at BYUI constantly. It's just the happy like, oh, we're going to be together forever, we're so committed, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And but they are not willing to like have any of the tools like given to them. They're just like, everything's perfect, so why would it change, kind of a thing.
I love that. That's so true. And I think it's everywhere. Like people just think they're immune to bad stuff happening to them. And like in chapter 16, when it talked about the characteristics that for marketing, to, like you said, to teach people and help them realize that they're at risk, and that risk poses like serious consequences. If that couple who was on BuzzFeed talking about their divorce, if they understood, like if they had kids, what that would be like for their children to go through divorce with their family, those consequences are like, I mean, from an LDS perspective, they're eternal, and it's at least lifelong for people who don't believe in the afterlife. But I don't know. I like what you said about just like helping people realize that the consequences are there and the risks are there too. And it's not like, even if you're smart, even if you try to be a good person and do good things, the risks are still there.
Right, right.
So what is your workshop mostly about for marriage?
So, okay. I would have to go back to my statement because I honestly came up with it like, and then I like forgot about it. But because so it's like my group. So I'm out here doing summer sales with my husband. I'm not doing summer sales, just him. And he is actually a team leader, and we recruited all these married couples. So all these wives are out here with me also doing online school.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so I feel like I have a pretty good opportunity to like narrow my audience down. Like everyone's been married like 2 years or less. Everyone's like under 25. And so I think it would be like really helpful like to talk about the prevention methods, like which is all of what family life education is. So I guess that's pretty vague, but like to come up with like the key factors like in educating them how to deal with like conflict in their marriage specifically. I think that that's like the biggest topic. And then I think that that's like really what I want to focus on.
That's awesome. That sounds really fun. I think it would be cool to like be with people that you get to see often. I don't know if you see them every day, but at least weekly, I'm sure you get to see them.
I do know them really well too, so it'll be nice to be able to have like really open dialogue, really open discussions. So
that's awesome. That was something that I was kind of worried about. I think it was in chapter 16 or 19, where it's talking about like creating a safe environment. I'm kind of nervous because my course is all about parenting, and I don't want people to feel judged for making like bad parenting choices because they didn't know that it was bad, or because like when I had postpartum depression, for example, like I was crazy. And so I can't talk about most of that stuff with people because I don't want them to think I'm psycho. And so like, I don't know, it could be hard to kind of establish ground rules for not being judgmental, because we're all in the same. I'm doing my course with 3 wards in my area. I'm just inviting parents in my wards to come, so they all know each other. So I think it'll be hard to get them to open up because I don't think people will want to be judged.
Well, I mean, I do think that, there is a limit to like how open you do want to be, but also like I don't think you should limit yourself too much, because I think when I took a parenting class, it like helped me a lot. I'm not a parent yet, but when the parenting teacher would actually say like, you're gonna make mistakes. I spanked my kids and I knew all of the reasons like I should not do it. And like, so she's just like, throughout the course, she was always really honest, like, 'cause she had been a parent for a while, just like, oh yeah, no, I made this mistake. Like, obviously she's not gonna just like air out all of her dirty laundry, but like, she just like brought up like little things like, oh yeah, no one's perfect. Because I think that especially when you teach parenting, the most important thing to remember is no one's perfect. And kids, actually, if parents were perfect, they wouldn't be prepared for the world. They wouldn't be resilient. They couldn't develop properly.
That's such a good, I need to like write that down.
That's
Um,
what my psychology teacher told me. I wrote it down, so.
I love that. No, it's so true. Um, it's funny how like weaknesses can really make you strong. Um, so I think we've hit our time limit, but maybe we could. Watson, sorry, my Great Dane is really big, and I made this homemade cake today with a homemade icing, like everything from scratch. I've never done that before, and my dog just licked it. No,
Oh no.
sorry, like lame problems. I was like so excited. My husband came home, and I'm like, look, he doesn't even like cake. It's like, look at how great this is. My dog just ate the icing.
Hopefully it's not chocolate.
No, it's not.
Oh, that's good.
Anyway, maybe we could like each have a final statement. I don't know. That's how I usually do discussion boards
Okay.
or HOAs. I guess whatever you took away most from this, well, that'll help you in your workshop. That might be a good thing.
Okay. I would say assessing like the needs of my audience, even though we've already completed that assignment. I think this helped me to know a lot more about that, especially like with it talking about the where was it called? It was like a weird word. It's like psycho something. Oh no, where is it?
Oh, I remember. I know what you're talking about. Psychographic.
Yes, I just found it. Okay, yeah. So like knowing the psychographic and like attitudinal qualities, like that sounds super fancy, but like I think that that's something I don't know a lot about the
Mm.
girls that I'm with. Like I know to an extent because they're LDS, but at the same time, like I think that it would be like really beneficial to me if I like had more discussion on like their beliefs and that kind of stuff. So
You could totally even create like a questionnaire. I was thinking about doing that for my workshop to come up with some sort of questionnaire with multiple choice answers just to kind of gauge like the tendencies that the parents in my class are going to have, like if they're responsive or if they're not, or I don't know. You could do that in your class to gauge it without them, I don't know, have feeling like they have to talk about it. It might help.
yeah,
I
no, I do. I like that idea.
For the attitudinal and behavioral in my outline, I put to be determined because like I don't really know yet, so we'll have to figure it out throughout.
Did
Uh,
your outline end up being longer than a page and a half?
Yeah, so I didn't know if we were supposed to do a page and a half per unit, like per chapter, or if it was supposed to be a page and a half for the whole freaking thing.
I think
Because
it
it was,
was supposed to be for the whole thing.
oops, yeah, no, mine was like 3 pages long.
Yeah, I mean, it was easy to do because there were really long chapters, but I
Yeah,
mean, maybe I'm wrong and now I'm gonna get half credit. I
I
just
don't,
never know with online courses. I just kind of go with it.
the rubric, I don't know, I felt like it wasn't super clear. So, plus she's out of town, so hopefully she'll be nice with the first one and give some solid feedback so we can know
I
what
think
to do
it
next
will
time.
be.
Okay, did you have anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Okay, so what I got most out of this unit block was that um, I just need to be me and market myself and my interests and what I've studied openly and honestly and creatively, so that people can see that what I have to talk about is totally going to bless their house and their home, and it'll bless their kids, and it will help them to feel like empowered, that they have some control over what's going on in their house. Because I don't know, I think that's something that a lot of moms need, and it's hard to find when you're unsure or when you don't know like where the root of your parenting comes from, or if it's on something founded on something solid. So that is what I learned this week.
Sounds really good.
Okay. Awesome. Um, well, I will post this on the discussion board then.
Awesome. Well, that
Okay.
wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to working with you this semester.
Me too. It'll be great. Catch you later.
Yes, yeah.
Bye.